The turtle didn't just win the race. She was the only one who actually enjoyed the view. What if slow living isn't just about slowing down? What if it's about finally finding the right speed? I think for a long time I had this very specific image of what slow living was supposed to be. Like you had to be baking sourdough bread from scratch, or living in some remote cottage, or I don't know, spending half the day contemplating life while drinking tea. And yes, those things are great, but they just didn't feel like they fit into an active life with goals, hobbies, or a busy family. If you've ever thought slow living sounds lovely, but that's not my life, this video might surprise you. I decided to really look into it to see what slow living was actually about behind the beautiful aesthetic. I'm 61 now, and between chasing after my granddaughter Malia, riding my e-bike to the gym, and staying on top of my creative work, my life is full and active. But as I looked closer at the history of slow living, I had this aha moment. I realized I was already trying to do it. I wasn't just being busy, I was being intentional. I finally had a name for this way of living, and it's not about how fast you're moving, it's about presence and intent. By the end of this video, you're going to see your daily life differently. Not like a race to the finish line, but as a practice of moving at just right speed for you. Now here's the thing, I'm very American. I don't speak Japanese, but in trying to understand my heritage and understand why I'm the way I am, I've been diving into these Okinawan and Japanese concepts, and I'm learning as I go. So I'm starting a new series to explore how we can actually build a life of intention, starting today with the wisdom of my heritage. So let's look at 3 forces that are constantly at war in our daily lives: fast living, slow living, and Ikigai. To really understand this, I have to tell you about the women in my family. It starts with my Okinawan grandmother. Her first name was Kameko, which literally translates to little turtle. That's perfect, right? So she worked as a hotel maid, which was pretty hard work. But that job, that wasn't her ikigai. Her reason for being was Okinawan dance, her family, and her moai, which was this incredible social support group she danced with well into her 80s. She was proof that your purpose doesn't have to be tied to your paycheck. And then there was my Okinawan mom. And honestly, growing up, her way of moving and talking, it drove me crazy. She was so slow. But looking back, I now realize she was actually moving at just the right speed for her. She was a hairdresser, and she was so thorough and so unhurried that she built this successful career that actually put me through college. So now looking back on it, I realized that her slow pace wasn't a flaw. It was kind of like her superpower. Her ikigai was the joy of making someone feel special and beautiful. And she knew you just can't rush that kind of transformation. My mom was more about quality over quantity, and that's something I really believe in too. And guess what? My 21-year-old daughter's middle name is also Kameko. She's actually taking her own slow path to find herself. She tried college after high school and it wasn't for her. So she's been just working and living with friends in Santa Barbara for a couple years now. And at the end of summer, she's planning to follow the family tradition to become a hairdresser. This is actually so funny because I spent 60 years trying to unlearn the very thing she's just naturally choosing, the right to move at her own pace. We've been socially conditioned to believe that slowing down means falling behind. This fast trap has spread to everything: fast food, fast fashion, and a hustle culture that tells us if we aren't moving 100 miles per hour, then we're not going to be successful. I used to think that I was making the right choice by choosing that hustle. I worked 3 jobs on purpose because I thought that's what it took to survive and be successful. But looking back, I realized I was caught in what I call reactive living. I was so busy responding to the demands of my businesses, the endless notifications, and that never-ending to-do list, that I accidentally lost my sense of presence. I didn't choose to be exhausted or disconnected. Those things were just the accidental byproducts of moving too fast. I had essentially signed away my right to enjoy my life just to keep up with the pace of the world that I created. But this isn't a new struggle. In fact, the revolution against this frenetic speed started back in 1986 with a plate of pasta. A McDonald's was set to open next to the historic Spanish Steps in Rome, and a man named Carlo Petrini protested by handing out bowls of traditional penne pasta to the crowds. He was defending the right to enjoy life, believing we shouldn't be forced to rush through our traditions just to serve a corporate bottom line. Since then, that protest has grown into a global movement called City-Slow, or Slow Cities. There are now hundreds of them, places like Bra in Italy or Sonoma right here in California. This is where they prioritize local food and more green space. It's spread to how we parent, how we design our neighborhoods, and how we finally value time over to-do lists. So how do these two actually work together when you're busy? To understand that, we have to look at Okinawa, one of the world's blue zones, where people consistently live to be over 100. And they don't do it by sitting still. They're some of the most active seniors on the planet. The secret is in how they view time. They make a distinction between jinsei, your big lifetime achievements, and Seikatsu, which is just your ordinary daily life. In the West, we're obsessed with the jinsei, the trophies and the big milestones. But Okinawans believe true Ikigai lives in the Seikatsu. It's in the beauty of the mundane. This is where the slow part comes in. Slow living doesn't mean you stop having goals or ambition. I still work hard and love being active. Slow living is just moving at a speed that is intentional enough to actually be there. It's about being fast when it's necessary or fun, like when I'm riding my e-bike or playing taiko drums with my friends. It's about choosing the quality of the experience rather than just fitting in more and more. The thing about Ikigai is it's not this big looming purpose you find in a paycheck or some fancy title. It's actually much smaller than that. It's a feeling. Think about when you're cooking your favorite meal. You've gone out and picked up, all the freshest ingredients, and you're in the kitchen, not rushing around because you know each step. You've actually perfected it, and in the end, you're rewarded with this delicious, comforting meal that you made with your own hands. That feeling, that's Ikigai. It's the joy of doing, and it's those small daily joys. But, and this is the catch, you can't actually feel that sense of accomplishment if you're rushing through it just to get dinner on the table. You need Utori. It basically means the space to have peace of mind. It's the breathing room. If your life is too fast, too full, then you won't have the space to notice that joy, even when it's right there in front of you. Think of it like this. Slow living is the act of clearing out the busy work. And this way you can create your Utori, that space. And Ikigai is the joy that finally has the room to fill it. You don't have to stop your life to find your purpose. You just have to be present enough to recognize it when it shows up. About a year ago, I realized I was just living reactively. I had 3 jobs and a never-ending to-do list that felt completely unsustainable. I was moving fast, but I wasn't the one choosing the direction. So I made a choice that wasn't easy. I closed my thrifting business after 5 years. It was incredibly hard to let go of something that helped me survive some really difficult times, and something I'd poured so many hours into just to provide for myself and my youngest daughter. But I realized that my health, this channel, and my granddaughter Malia needed room to breathe. They couldn't share space with a business that was draining me. By letting that go, I finally stopped trying to fit my life around endless busy work. I made room for what really matters: my family, my creative practices, and my moai. This is my Ikigai. I've finally cleared enough room in my head to be a grandma who's actually present for her grandchild. I'm still active, I still work hard, but I'm moving at my own speed. I can enjoy taiko or watercoloring without that constant feeling that I'm rushing off to do the next thing. I want you to try a radical shift. Replace your to-do list with a to-be list. Be methodical. Like my mom at her salon, honor the process of a simple task. Whether it's making your tea or folding laundry, try it without your phone nearby. Just enjoy the rhythm of the work. Be observant. Practice the art of noticing. When you're outside, look for those tiny, ordinary miracles. Maybe it's the way the light hits a leaf or the smell of lavender in your neighbor's yard. Be present. Try doing just one thing at a time. If you're with your family or even just playing with your dog, try to be all there. Be grounded. Here's something I've been trying when I first wake up. I drink a glass of water and take my dog Sven out for a walk. Not for exercise, but to get that morning light in my eyes, which actually tells your brain it's time to wake up. I also breathe in the outdoor air before coming back inside and starting my day. Be grateful. At the end of the day, just jot down 2 or 3 small things you're thankful for. It's a simple way to remind your brain that even a busy day was full of good things. Slowness isn't about stopping. It's about making sure you're actually there for your life. I used to think my mom and grandma were just, well, maybe a little out of step with how fast the world was moving. But I see it so clearly now. That slow pace, it wasn't them being naive. It was them being intentional. They were actually moving at just the right speed the whole time. The turtle didn't just win the race. She was the only one who actually enjoyed the view. What's one thing on your to-be list today? Let me know down in the comments. So here's the problem. You can't move at the right speed if you're still chasing perfection. That's why in the next part of this series, we're diving into the Japanese concept of Wabi Sabi. This is the secret to slow living. Why? Because we can't move at the right speed if we're constantly chasing perfection. Wabi Sabi is the art of finding beauty in the imperfect, the aged, and the unfinished. I'm Wabi Sabi. I'll show you why letting go of perfect is the only way to find peace in this second half of life. To see more from this series, just click on the playlist right here on the screen. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you find a little bit of wellness today and every day. See you the next time. Take care. Bye-bye.